what relationship do you find between the religions that we're familiar with that have grown up on planet Earth and our ancestors' experience of ET contact?
Oh, man, great question. You see, the ancients, our ancestors, they're telling us exactly what happened. If anyone understands how hard and difficult it is to write in cuneiform onto clay and let it dry and become stone, it's a tedious process. You don't sit around underneath a tree and say, you know, I'm gonna wedge out about 200 or 300 of these stone tablets right you can make up an amazing story. I mean, it just didn't happen that way. You got work to do. You gotta toil the fields and get food on the table. So this was important information, probably as close to the truth as we're possibly going to get. And what I found is that when you look into these ancient texts and scriptures and cylinder scrolls and papyruses, you're finding out the fundamental basis of what religion is right now. They've taken from pieces of these texts, the Enuma Elish and the seven tablets of creation, the Epic of Atrahasis, the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is primarily the full story of Noah, and the Enuma Elish, you get the creation story. You get separating the waters from the waters and all of that stuff, right?
Yes.
And then you also get into some of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which makes it into some of the Old Testament and Proverbs. You get some of the Mahabharata, and there even some of the Bhagavad Gita. And then in the Newer Testament, you're getting where Jesus is speaking, you're getting a lot of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth from 36,000 years ago. Jesus was just regurgitating what he learned in the mystery schools when he went to Egypt at the age of 12. So it's pretty interesting that the powers that be, they handpicked different pieces of information to create this canonized Bible. And really, when you look into some of these ancient texts, you go, well, how come their names aren't in this? Well, look, Marduk. Marduk is in the Sumerian cuneiform tablets, which predates the Bible by thousands of years. He's in the Bible and he's in the Torah. All these names, they're in there. Enlil and all these, they're all in these texts, but it's just been kind of overlooked. And these are the same people that masqueraded as gods, plural with an S, in these books, which then, due to the process of editing, they took the S off of the word God and made it singular to usher in the monotheistic mindset. But in the original translation, it's gods with an S. And there's actually multiple gods being spoken about in the Bible, not just one. These are these Anunnaki Atlantean people that were battling for, control of humans and resources on Earth.
You and I are absolutely on the same page in all that regard. You have a massive following around the world who, when you say things like that, will say, yeah, go, Billy. But do you still find you get a lot of pushback from the religious world when you come out and present this information?
Yeah, there's pushback. There's always, people that want to challenge because they're so wrapped into the religion because they've been born and they've been given the name, race, and they were given their religion right at birth. And so now they're spending the rest of their life trying to defend a false identity. And so they're so encased and engulfed in it that there's like being immersed inside of a hologram. You can't tell you're in a hologram because you're inside of it. And so they're immersed in that matrix of that religious matrix, and they can't even find a way that there could be a slight way out. And they're so immersed in it, they believe it's their whole being, and it makes up their complete belief system. And so once you start to tear down a person's belief system, it puts them in psychological and sometimes physiological pain, and they move from a prisoner to a prison guard mindset, and now they want to guard that identity. So human beings are both the prisoners and we're also the prison guards.
So this is the Agent Smith syndrome.
Yes, that's right.
Exactly.
That's right. Absolutely.
Your best-selling title, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, takes us into the world of ancient Egyptian mythology. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me what those tablets are and why they are important?
Oh, wow. These tablets are the most amazing things I've ever come across in a long time. About now, almost 11 years ago, I came across the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. These are ancient writings that were authored and written by Thoth himself. Thoth is an Atlantean. He claims to be an Atlantean priest king, a son of Atlantis that ruled over the land of Kem long before it was called Egypt. For he ruled over Kem for 14,000 years. Now, that's even according to the ancient Egyptians. It's etched into stone in Egypt, so you can't deny that the ancients agree with this. And what's interesting is he was known as the first intelligencer, the person that brought knowledge and wisdom, languages to the planet. In the land of Chems, he taught chemistry and alchemy, and he alchemically created these tablets, which he put on this emerald green type stone, and these tablets are really giving you the key not only to life, enlightenment, how to ascend to higher dimensions. He's talking about technology in there, flying ships that can fly into space. He's talking about weapons that can stun people and freeze them in their tracks. He's talking about having the power to transfer consciousness into a cloned avatar body. And he's even talking about walking through stargates. It's like an amazing space story combined with, an amazing empathetic story about how one being decided to put a crew together and fly around Earth after the Great Flood and help re-kickstart civilization for humans all over the planet.
Now, you describe him as an Atlantean, an Anunnaki. What exactly do you think Thoth was?
Great question. So, Anunnaki is a generalized term. So, like, for example, if we were to leave Earth and go to Mars and we met some people on Mars that were Martians, they would say, well, who are you? What are you guys? Well, we're Earthlings, right? But I'm really a Floridian from Florida in America. So you can break it down to levels. And so Anunnaki just means those who came from heaven to earth. But the Atlantean was the name of the actual civilization. They had this Atlantean civilization that was just not a ring city that Plato talked about. That's where people get a little confused. They think, oh, there was this place called Atlantis. No, Earth was Atlantis. The entire planet. We're all right now, wherever you are on this planet, you're sitting on top of Atlantis.
It was a civilization.
It's a civilization of global. We had capitals. That ring city that sunk in the Atlantic Ocean was one of many capitals of Atlantis, and they were also interplanetary. They weren't just on Earth.
Going back to Thoth for a moment, when we find him depicted in the annals of ancient Egypt, he's depicted with the head of an ibis. Yeah. Now, how do we read that? Is that symbology, or did people simply paint what they saw?
That's symbology for Thoth, and the reason why is because an ibis bird, it has its very long beak. Now, the way that it gets its sustenance, it has to stick its beak deep into mud. So the ibis bird sticks its beak deep into mud to get its food, to bring up sustenance. And so it's allegory of kind of bringing darkness to light is why they give him the head of the ibis bird. So it's not really his face. His face actually used to be on the Sphinx. The original face on the Great Sphinx in Egypt was not the face that's there now, and it was never a lion's face. It was Thoth's face. His father, Enki, ordered it to be his face. After Thoth and his brother, Marduk, also known as Amun-Ra, got into a couple of battles, and Thoth's dad said, look, man, go to the other side of the planet and start that Mesoamerican civilization over there and leave your brother over here. And so once he left, his brother recarved the face, which is why that head that's on there now is too small. He recarved the face of Thoth down to his own son's face. So the head that's on the Great Sphinx now is Thoth's nephew's face. But you can see quite easily that these are human features.